Good morning and welcome to a lesson today, day 4 of daily vlogging. And today, the highlight of the day is the lesson that I'm going to teach you. Stick around, watch this video till the end, and you're going to appreciate what I'm going to teach today. It's that time. The Nescafe time. Thank you so much, guys, for watching and comments and sharing. I totally appreciate. Morning, Kelly. Buenos dias. Today we are doing a few things, but the most important, the one that must make you watch this video until the end, is that we're going to take you through our planning for a day's journey. We're going to show you what it entails when we say tomorrow we're going from this place to that place. Welcome back to today's video. Today, like I promised in the beginning of this video, we are going to give you a lesson. We're going to share with you tips on how we plan our route. And mostly, Dos is the one who does the planning. I have to learn to do these things. I don't like them, but I have to learn to do these things because I can't leave everything to you. Although he will confess that I do very little. Yeah, I don't do so much of route planning. He's a guru in it. We all have something that we are good at. So today we are going to plan the route from Managua back to San Jose. That is the route we plan to take after the lockdown. We plan to go back to San Jose so that we can ship the bikes from Costa Rica. So we're going to go with you. Dos is going to do most of the talking today.
Yes.
It's your day. He's going to show us how we do everything A to Z until we get to San Jose. So over to you, Dos.
Today we are going to plan our actual route back to San Jose after the lockdown. In Nicaragua, we are unable to ship the bikes back, so we have to go back to San Jose and get a shipping company because shipping in Costa Rica is much more vibrant than what it is in Managua. So our route back to Costa Rica to San Jose, and I think we're going to put these links. From where we are to Costa Rica, San Jose, this is 431 kilometers. But there are two options where we can use. We can use the bottom route or the upper route. There are two ways to go about it. So once we have our destination, first, we look at the alternative routes on how to get through the destination. Most of the time, we normally click on this icon and look at the terrain aspect of the terrain on how the route will be. So sometimes there are off-roads, on-roads, and sometimes the terrain is very difficult. So, and we look at the sites that we want to see on the road. So upon that, we both discuss on where we want to go, how we want to get there, and the things we want to see on the road. But for us, on this trip, we are planning, we've seen most of what is on the road, pretty much we want to go back to San Jose as fast as we can. So for now, we'll choose the fastest way possible to go back. And the fastest doesn't mean the easiest.
That's something good to say. That's something really good to note, yes.
Normally the fastest routes, that's where there is a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
The roads are more dangerous because of people speeding. There are a lot of speed police. There are a lot of police people. So we want to make the trip also safe, and we get there in the fastest time possible. But for us, we have to cross a border crossing, so that's additional things you have to consider. So normally what we do is once we make sure the bikes are okay, the documentation is okay, because we are supposed to cross a border crossing, then we look at the terrain, which route we want to use. Then again we look at the weather, how hot it is, the wind, the temperature, and that will really determine how we dress.
So let me cut you short. So what you've said is that the first thing you do is to identify the destination
where we want to go. Yeah.
And then you look at the various routes that we can use to get to that destination.
Yes.
And you also said that you check the terrains.
Yeah.
And depending also on things.
Google.
Yes.
Yeah.
You check on Google. So you use Google for planning.
Yes.
So you check on Google and see the terrains, and then also decide if there are things that you want to see and which option of the roads you want to use.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's continue.
Then thirdly, after we've determined all that, then there's 431 kilometers. You have to factor in that we have to spend about 3-4 hours at the border, crossing, doing the documentation. So we waste a lot of time at the border. So we have to cut this trip into two if we don't want to get into San Jose at night, and we never ride at night. So we have to cut this into two.
So those you've told us that you will look at the distance. Sometimes the distance sounds short.
Yeah.
But then there are other things to consider, and in this case we have a border crossing.
Yes.
And that is why you're cutting it into two.
Yes.
So now where we are at is you've cut this distance into two because of the border crossing and the time that we will get there. So tell us, from there, what's the next thing you do?
After you cut the trip into two, you have to figure out where you're going to sleep, fuel, petrol stations, all that. So from Google, you can see the terrain and the road conditions. You're able to see that. Then you go to an app we call Eye of Alanda. It's actually really helpful when you're traveling on motorcycles or on cars or backpacking. So it really shows you like campgrounds, tourist sites, fuel stations, supermarkets, if you're a pet person, police, dangerous places. So for the 431 kilometers back to San Jose, we will cut the trip into two because we are going to spend a lot of time at the border. Then after the border, we'll go 15 kilometers south of the border to a campground called Finca Cañas Castilla. Everyone we've met has given us very good reviews of this place, and from the app you can see the reviews are really nice. So we decide on going to this place. Then after that we see whether it's on hotelbooking.com, whether it's in Hostel World. Are we able to book online, or do we just show up? And
we also consider whether they ask for card payment before.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes you book a place and they insist on having your cards, or they insist on having like a deposit, part payment.
Yeah.
And if you don't make it to the place, chances are you're going to lose 50% of your booking, the value of your booking.
As a no-show.
Yeah. Or whatever amount you had paid as a no-show. So we always avoid to lose money that way, and we make sure that we go for places that say the card will not be charged. There's cancellation available. Free cancellation available. They don't charge your card before you get there. They allow you to actually just pay upfront when you arrive, and that helps in just managing your time, because sometimes you even get just tired, and you thought you would finish the entire trip, but you shorten it and you don't get to where you're going, or you get derailed.
And it has happened to us so many times. We have gotten derailed, or sometimes we just go to a place and just decide we are not going to go further than this, but we had planned to go further, and we end up just not going there. I think we lost money, I think once in Colombia, because we were supposed to go to a hostel, but we didn't show up. We got derailed and actually went further than we were expecting. Yes,
it happens. So make sure that you manage your losses when you're booking, especially when you're traveling for a long time. Small things that don't hit your mind up front, but they really cost you a lot of money at the end. So now we've found a place to stay. We've seen the route has petrol stations, and we've crossed the border, and so we are going to leave from the border to San Jose.
So traveling a place where there are no cities, it's okay, it's not that bad. But when you're traveling into a city, then things get complicated, especially a city that you haven't been to before. You're getting there probably at 3 o'clock and the traffic has started. So the best thing is to mark your destination very clearly. Go through the map over and over at night when you wake up, so many times, so that you can understand how to get there. Then pinpoint that route.
That's a very good point. How many times do you have to read that map? You know, even me, I didn't know. Even me, I didn't know. How many times do you have to read the map?
So many times, especially getting into a city or getting out of a city.
So it's not just looking at the map and pinpointing where you're going and you put up a pin there.
No.
From here, and then tomorrow we are good to go.
No.
Oh my God, those.
You have to look at the map over and over again. Things fail. Then you have to look at or ask directions or have a mental picture of how you're going to get out of the city. One big challenge we had, I think, was in Santiago, Chile, because there were so many underpasses and so many
tunnels. You lose.
And when you get into the tunnel, you're supposed to exit somewhere in the tunnel, but the GPS connection is gone. So you have to look at the map, have a mental picture of how you're going to get there and how you're going to live, especially very populated areas, and passing through some big towns which are highly populated. So you have to figure out how to navigate through. So most of the time we use our phones. We don't have any GPS, we don't have anything. So we put the coordinates on Google, download the offline version of it, or maps.me. But in the big cities, both of the apps work really well together. Out of the cities,
it depends with the country.
Yeah, it depends with the country. Yeah.
And that's a really good point. Make sure you have all your offline maps downloaded, especially when you're traveling in foreign country. You have no internet, not unless you have an international plan, which is not accessible to many of us, majority of us, or you have bought a local card, and again, you also have to make sure that you have data on it. And some places have no signal at all. Yeah.
And now crossing international borders, networks vary a lot.
Yeah, that's another thing.
And sometimes you're not in a country so long that you really want to invest in a SIM card or data.
So have we arrived at San Jose?
From the border, when we sleep at the border, it will be a full day of riding and get to San Jose probably at 3-4
in the afternoon.
Yeah,
that's something else. We make sure that we don't ride late. We like to arrive at around latest 4 o'clock, and the reason is because sometimes you would think you have your maps very correct, but when you get to the destination you realize you still were sent to the wrong place. And it happened to us in Lima. You remember? In Lima we had the right coordinates from an Airbnb. Okay, we thought they were right. We thought they were correct, but where the coordinates took us, we could not find the place, and we had to do another almost 10 kilometers inside the city. So if you arrive early, especially in foreign countries where you know nothing, and it's worse even when you don't speak the language, make sure you have time, if you're lost, time to find your place and find it in good time during the day.
And going there without the pressure of too much traffic, whether you're lost or not. Then getting there late, the traffic is crazy, so you really don't want to get there when traffic is crazy. One trick that we normally use, especially in crossing the borders and getting into cities, is getting there either on a Sunday, because on Sunday there is less traffic, or crossing the border on Sunday morning, because the traffic is really low, so you don't feel as much pressure, and you don't have to wait so much time, queues and traffic.
And of course, doing your research in advance of what is required at the border. Some places they will ask for photocopies of so much. Even after you get your immigration stamp, they still want you to make a copy of that immigration stamp that you've already gotten before they process your motorcycle or your car at the customs. Can you imagine being in a foreign country with Nairobi traffic? Yes. It's terrible.
It's very disorienting.
Very disorienting. And you don't know the people, you don't know the driving culture of the country, so you're not even sure if you're safe or doing it right.
Yeah, we got into Panama City like at 8 o'clock at night. And it was horrible. There was so much traffic.
And it was raining. And even sighting the exits was difficult in some areas, especially where they didn't have street lighting.
Yeah.
You just realize the exit is here, pop!
And you have to exit.
So let's summarize the key takeaways from your lesson to us today. The first thing is pick your destination. Once you pick your destination, see how many routes available for you to get there. Of course, make decisions on if you want to see places or you want the fastest route to your destination. Then that will help you pick the route that you want to use. After that, check the amenities available on that route. Do you have petrol stations, and how far apart are they spaced? Do you have towns with accommodation, just in case you don't get to your destination? What is your plan B? And then of course, make sure you check your weather apps every day. It shows you like an entire day how the weather is going to be like an entire day. You're able to see the winds, you're able to see the speeds of the wind, you're able to see whether it's going to rain. Those are very important key things to take note of. For example, if it's going to rain 2 hours into your ride, then you need to have your riding gear close. You don't need to have it at the bottom of your luggage.
If it's cold,
if the winds, if it's cold, you need your jacket liner. If there are crazy winds and they are like speeds that you can't do, you probably need to change the day of your travel.
And put more fuel. Plan to fuel more, because the wind just has something against petrol.
I think the worst winds we got into were in Lesotho. But my experience was also very not so good with the winds. Yeah. The last ones we did, I survived.
Yeah.
I did good.
Getting into Nicaragua.
The next thing is, of course, to identify where you're going to sleep. Make sure you identify early enough. Pin your location. Read your maps. How many times?
As much as you can.
Having a mental picture of where you're going, the routes and exits and everything.
Yeah.
So we hope this lesson is valuable to you. If you have attended anybody's random, a one night stop or many night stop random, this is what they go through. And I hope you appreciate the work they put in. And the next random, you will plan it yourself.
It may sound simple, but going into the unknown, sometimes it's kind of, you don't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
So,
like, you remember when we were leaving that lake in Ecuador?
yeah, I remember it.
The route you guys picked.
Yeah.
So what was the name of that lake?
I remember it was.
So we had someone else we were riding with. So Dos and him, I left the guys to plan the route. The mistake I made is that I never even looked at how it. I always make sure at least I see from the Google map how many sharp corners do we have. Like, how bad is the route? I like to see, especially the twisties. I like to see how bad the twisties are. So this one I never did. The issue we had was that there were two options and one had crazy winds. Crazy winds that everybody advised us.
And it was shorter.
It was shorter, but everybody advised us not to use that one because of the winds. And also both routes had mountains, serious mountains, but they said the other side is easier. So I never looked at it, but I thought it was easier by what people said, only to get into serious twisties downhill. We also got to some gravel. You remember?
Yeah, we did some gravel roads.
And then we found a road that was just being dug, and it had rained. There was mud.
We really struggled that day.
Yes, that is the lesson I learned on proper planning. That was the day I learned that you have to also get involved in that planning if you can't get involved.
Yeah.
So we hope that this lesson is valuable to you, and we've shared with you something that you're going to appreciate for all your rides from today henceforth.
And if you have more questions, feel free to write a comment and ask.
Yes, we'll always answer your questions from the video. Put everything in the comment section down below. Yeah. So thank you so much, Dos. Thank you. Bye, guys.